And whenever those libraries make themselves available, you check out as many books as possible.
Okay, Lord, we got the machine. We got the record now. We being recorded now, fellas. So we go ahead and get ready and get started, fellas. So I thank everyone for chiming in tonight, man, on this great, great Monday evening, man. What's today's date? What's today's date?
22nd.
22nd. Okay, I think he said one. This beautiful May the 22nd, man, 2017, man. I just pray and hope something be said tonight, man, that will be able to strengthen you. Pray and hope that, guys, when you hit the ground tomorrow, you'll be much better tomorrow than you were today. The result of Low important into you tonight, because I know he got something for us, guy, because Low always got something for us, man. You can call Low at the last minute, man. He'll have something. A lot of guys, man, I'm not quite ready, man. I got to prepare myself. So when you stay prepared, you don't have to get prepared. So that's one thing about, being ready. When you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So that's the way I can say about Low, man. I can appreciate that in him, man. He's definitely a reference point, man. He's somebody that's a guy that you can learn from, and I appreciate it, man. I can call on him, man, at any moment, man. He's always ready to go. If he's not ready to go, it's not because he's not ready, because he's doing something else. He got other obligations, and that's where we all should be in a state of readiness at all time, man. And so that's just what I said. And I thank you guys. I can't thank you guys enough, man, by that coming on this broadcast each and every week, man. Hungry, man, ready to learn and ready to grow, and that's what it's gonna take, guys. We got to do more for us going out there, and impact some of our other people, man. Let them know the importance of coming on broadcasts like this, man, mixing and mingling, man, learning and growing. And that's what we're going to take us to move forward. We got to start acknowledging ourselves more, because you'd be surprised the guys that don't ever get on any kind of a positive conversation, nothing of this magnitude, no personal growth. And that's what it's all about. And that's one reason why we're so far behind, because this kind of information that we're receiving on this broadcast, man, it's been held back from us for so many years. Our foreparents didn't know. They did the best they can. They raised us well, but they raised us with the knowledge that they had. But if they had the knowledge that we have today, we can go so much further. And now we got the knowledge and everything, we won't come forward and take advantage of it. I just like, for instance, like this past weekend, we won't engage in certain things. I went to North Carolina this weekend, man, to some of you may know Joe Dudley. Went out to his 81st birthday. I went last year, and I went back in this year, and some of the guys that I met by going to events and like that is just phenomenal, man. It's just unreal. So you have to go around and get around and engage yourself in the stuff like that, man. If you want to continue to stay connected and continue to grow, you got to always be upgrading your relationships. That's very key. The relationships are the new money now, guys. You got to engage in new relationships so you can continue to move forward. Because when you engage in new relationships, you start learning more stuff that you didn't know previous to joining hands into that relationship. So relationships are very, very important. So, Amos, open us up in prayer, if you will, please, sir. Amos. Maybe I heard somebody hung up. Maybe that was him. Karan, what's your father's name?
Sharon.
Yeah, Karan. Hello? Karan. Karan.
Yeah. Hey, I think Amos just came back on.
Amos, that's you? Karan, are you still on? Who other than me and you, Lois? Who's still with us? Who that just chimed in? Take roll call.
This is Ron.
Okay, Karan, open us up in prayer, please.
Yes, this is Sharon.
Karan.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to thank God for another day, another opportunity to love you, serve you, worship you, as we love and serve each other and all others over ourselves, Father God. We just thank you for another, just thank you for the sky, thank you for the sun in the sky, and just we grateful for us being able to breathe today, Father God. The simple things that mean so much that somebody else didn't get to get. So we just coming to you grateful, and we're coming to you obedient And we just want to thank you for forgiveness, helping us realize that once you say we're forgiven, we can run off and rejoice, like Psalms 51. So we thank you in the name of Jesus. We pray, Lord. Thank you for forgiveness. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, Sherrod, when you dialed back in, how many was on the call?
Well, it said 4, and then
okay.
We had the 3-way in with our call, so that's 4 callers between me, my wife, Amos, and my father-in-law.
Okay, just checking.
Okay, man. Like I said, man, like I want to thank each and every one, man. We got a logo speaking to our lives tonight, guys, and so I just pray and hope each and everybody got pens and paper and what have you, man. If not pen and paper, maybe you got their cell phone or iPad or whatever the case may be. Whatever form is to take note, you take note. Because you got something to say, because you can't remember everything, man. Like they always say, a short pencil better than a long memory, man. Because if you lose a lesson, you lose the blessing. Because, sometimes, like when you don't take notes, you be out somewhere talking to people. Sometimes they'll say something that very profoundly, and you say, man, that was profound. I mean, I can remember that. Next thing you know, you get ready to draw from it, and you can't remember it. And then you go beating yourself all upside the head. But if you had a pen and paper with you, and you jot it down, and then you can go ahead and you remember it. Now you can go ahead and apply it into your life and benefit from it. Because that's why they say a short pencil better than a long memory. Because that's what I do all the time. I keep a pen and paper with me at all times. I keep a pencil and a paper, a pad and a pen with me at all times, and a book with me just in case something happens. I'm somewhere, it's bored or whatever case may be, and I got me something I can read to occupy my mind. I don't let waiting time be wasted time. If I go to the doctor's office or whatever the case may be, I keep me a book with me and read my book other than their magazine, because I don't let waiting time be wasted time. So you got to always be learning, man, always. So we're not going to prolong the time, man. We said 9 minutes after 10 tonight. I just want to also, I hadn't gotten a chance to talk to you, man. We're going to make sure Ron going to be our assistant, man. He's going to assist you and I. So we got you, Sharon, and myself as of now. So he will be hosting the time as well. And so he's going to be able to do some things. He's going to be able to help bring some of the younger guys on the broadcast and all. And so I guess that's what we need. We need that young blood. So we're going to make him a part. What you think about that?
I think that's an absolutely great idea because he's been consistent. He's been committed. And if we ain't reproducing ourselves, then something wrong.
And that's a fact. That's a fact. And so maybe at some point in time, maybe we'll have to do a 3-way or something. We'll start discussing the event, the conference that we're going to be having in September and what have you. And so we'll talk about that at another point. Well, guys, we're going to get ready to go ahead and get started, man. As you all know, Lo. Lo is Lo, and I hate using the word system because we're together. We both side by side. Ain't now no person no higher than the other. We side by side. So as you all know, Lo here every week, man, been pouring into us for quite some time. He always got something to say. He's a colonel in the military. I met Lo, I guess probably about Lo about 3-4 years now.
Yeah, 2.5, almost 3.
Yeah, somewhere around
now. But when we in the spirit, it seemed like forever,
Anyway, man, we have a kindred spirit, man. We clicked. And, that one thing it's one thing to communicate with someone, it's another thing to click with them. I click with Lo, and, and we're on the same page. I click with anybody, man, that love peoples, and they out there doing things with no strings attached, doing whatever they can to try to cause others to move forward. I click with you on that part right there, just doing what's right. And so with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lo. So, guys, we'll get ready and let Lo have it for about another 25 or 30 minutes or whatever case may be, and then we come back with some Q&A. So put your phone on mute, guys, and so it won't be no distraction. And so we're going to turn Lo loose and let him take it away in his own way. All right, my brother, take it away, Lo. Go, go, go.
Hey, thank you, Frank. Everybody can hear me pretty clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try to be succinct. I'm going to try to be precise, and I want to try to offer you some perspective. I don't want this call to be in vain. I want you to walk away and say, my God, thank you that I had an opportunity to be on this call. I thank you that I made a sacrifice to come on tonight because what was said I really needed to hear. And not that I needed to hear it, but I really needed to apply what was said, because knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power, and I always tell y'all that. So if you don't plan on applying it, then this ain't going to do you any good today. So I'll leave you with that disclaimer. But we all have heard this statement that, and I think every one of us heard this statement, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Now, I would argue and say we all heard that statement. But what I would say is, even though that may be true, the grass still got to be mowed. Somebody will get that in the morning. The grass is always green on the other side of the fence, but it still has to be mowed. And the reason why it's greener is because it grows under a septic tank. And I want you to think about that. If it wasn't for that septic tank, and that kind of represents our life, you know what? Our life, it takes some crap. We got to go through some crap to grow, just like that grass. And that grass is under some crap. It's under that septic tank. And that's why it grows so well. That's why it looks so green. But a lot of folk don't want to acknowledge the septic tank part of our growth. But so what I want to do is challenge your thought process tonight. And I want to give you this secret to what I call thankfulness. And it's found in these words. I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstance. That's what Paul said. And I want you to kind of just whisper that to yourself wherever you're at. I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstance. And what does that really mean? That means be thankful when your boss tells you no. Be thankful when your boss tells you no. Now, where does all this coming from? I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, man, and he was a little discouraged. He was a little disappointed. Rightfully so. He was disappointed because he didn't feel that he got the promotion that he wanted. He'd been working for the same company. He'd been there for like 10 years, and he followed the playbook for the correct career path. He built positive relationships along the way. Leaders and all the other leaders, they spoke favorably of him, but they decided to give this promotion that he was wanting to somebody outside the company. So how do you think he felt? Loyal. He was committed. He did everything by the book. But at the end of the day, the company had made a decision to give that position to someone outside of the company who they felt had more experience. And so what I want to do is I want to talk from that point, and I'm going to kind of share with you, what was in my spirit when he was describing that, because I tried to put myself in the situation he was in. Being told no by those you've been loyal to, by those you know from the inside out, those you've been doing business with for 10 years, giving it your all. And that just showed me that, man, Hodges, you can do everything right by the book, and you can still face the discouragement of a closed door. And it just didn't happen to him, but it happens to people every day. Because I know what it feels like to be rejected. And I know some of y'all on this call know what it feels like to be rejected or to be denied from something that you believe that was yours, something that you believe all your hard efforts, that somebody done forgot you, or that you was overlooked or you was ignored. But what I want to submit to you is that it's good to be told no. That's the first nugget I want you to write. It's good to be told no. Now you're saying, you probably look at me and say, why would it be good to be told no, especially when I don't work hard, when I did what the playbook said? Why would I find joy in being told no? No is a defining moment. It can do a couple of things. It can serve to mobilize you, or it can paralyze you. It can cause you to it'll force a retreat, or it can cause you to redirect your steps. And I want you to think about a time when somebody told you no. Did it mobilize you? Did it charge you? Or did it paralyze you? Did it cause you to stop being productive? Did it cause you to get upset, retreat, redirect your steps? Now you ain't playing by the book no more? No challenges the belief in yourself and the courage that you got in your heart. No matures. The word no builds. It sculpts you into a true and more creative version of you. No keeps you grounded. No clothes you with humility. No makes you more grateful. No centers you and no humbles you. And I want you to walk away today understanding that the word no is just as empowering as a yes. No one's ever told you that you can be empowered by a no, just like you can be empowered by a yes. And I'm submitting that to you today. I'm reminding you, and I'm telling you, I don't care if you ain't never heard it, the word no in your life can be just as empowering as a yes. So what am I saying? I'm saying the word no is a relative term. It's based on how you're looking at life, what perspective you're looking at. So oftentimes the immediate response being told is what? You know, you're frustrated, you're hurt, followed by some anger, and then you're probably tempted to do something stupid or foolish or show an attitude and act disgruntled. You just remember, when somebody tells you no, you're being watched. You're being observed. You're being monitored. And how you handle that no will determine whether you should have been hired in the first place or not. And a lot of people, you know, and I want you to think about when you was a kid, when your parents told you no, little did you know that they was evaluating your attitude. Now, if you was respectful and you accepted the no, and then you know, you was pretty cool about it, went about your business, you can go slamming doors and walking off stuff in your feet, then guess what? They probably was going to, you know, take care of you in a couple hours with what they told you no. Well, the same way your parents had a plan in mind and they was monitoring you, unbeknownst to you, your employers are doing the same thing. They are monitoring and managing how you handle no. You're either going to reaffirm their decision of bringing somebody else in, or you're going to make them say, hey, this guy handled that well. He's ready for the next opportunity. So now that you understand that there is power in no, and you can look at no completely different, I want to give you a couple of steps on how you can press through the pain of being told no, because that's the practical part. Because I know you're saying, okay, I said no, but how do I handle that reality, that pain of being told no? How do I handle that in the heat of the moment thought? So the first thing I want to tell you need to do is do not self-blame. When you're told no, do not start to self-blame. There's nothing wrong with you. Even the most intelligent, the most experienced, the most qualified people are denied opportunities. I work with some of the smartest people in the world, and I see them every day being denied opportunity. But when you have given your best and the answer is still no, just accept the outcome, learn whatever you can from it, and be open to other possibilities. So don't blame yourself. Learn what you can learn from it and be open to other possibilities. The second thing, extend yourself. Extend yourself. What am I saying? I'm saying you're going to have to, come to grips with the reality that it is what it is. They hired the other person. They chose the other person. There's nothing wrong with you. And then you have to congratulate that person who did win that opportunity you wanted. And you got to offer them your support. If you're in a position to offer them your support, you need to stand up and you need to be accountable and you need to offer them support. And this not only shows grace in defeat, but it also displays your professionalism. It displays your dignity, your humility, and your strength and your character. All of these things are on display for the hiring party to see for the next opportunity. Right at that moment of your no is where you're being evaluated for the next opportunity, and you didn't even know it. People are looking at your professionalism. They're looking at your dignity, your humility, and your strength and character. The moment after they told you no, you had no idea your real interview was really after the no. So, third thing, be positive and be patient. What am I saying? I'm saying maximize the opportunity that you already have. Be positive and patient. You already got a gig. You already got a job, so it ain't like you without a job just because they said no. What you want to do now is maximize the opportunity that you already have. If you remain committed to excellence in the work you do, utilizing your talents, that's going to make you unique already. And then eventually, guess what? The right door is going to open. But if you take on this funky attitude after your no, none of these things are going to be realized because people only remember the last thing your attitude showed them. Note to self, people only remember the last thing your attitude showed them. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how unique you are. After you know, the only thing they're going to remember is what your attitude told them. And the last thing that I want to help you with is leverage your talent to meet a need. What am I saying? Leverage your talent to meet a need. This is how you make yourself relevant. You know what? We're living in a generation where you got to make yourself relevant. You got to create demand for you. You got to let folk know that if they're going to operate effectively and efficiently, then they're going to have to include you. You got to create that demand. The more you meet a need, the more you increase your value to that person, that team, that organization. The more valuable you are, the more you attract opportunity. You know, and I tell people all the time, I said, you know, a lot of people say they want $100,000. I say, well, go solve a $100,000 problem. Go find a $100,000 problem to solve. You know what? You can determine the value. You want $1 million, go find $1 million problem to solve. It's that simple. You can't just want something and not be willing to bring the talent to the table to go solve it and show people your value. And lastly, I will close with this. Just remember, some of the most iconic and successful people in the world experience rejection before reaching the mountaintops. People like Steve Jobs with Apple, Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan. You know, Michael Jordan was cut from his team, high school. You know, to deal with Oprah, her situation, Stephen King, Walt Disney, all these folks experienced rejection. All these folks experienced a no. And I can't tell you the countless number of folks that I've crossed paths with that have testified to me that they had a no in their life. And they're doing really well. They've overcome their no. They've overcome that painful rejection. And right now, that was a catalyst for them shaping and positioning them for a better future. And that's the same catalyst. Your no is the same catalyst that's going to position you for a more promising future. But it's all in how you handle your no. So, in summary, you know, we talked about grass is greener on the other side of the fence, but it's still got to be mowed. We talked about that same grass grows because it's over a septic tank. And then I showed you and talked about many people that have been told no that have bounced back and showed resilience. And then we open up with be thankful when your boss tells you no. And then I gave you 4 steps of how to press through the pain of being told no. Don't blame, don't self-blame. Ain't nothing wrong with you personally. It just was in your time. It just wasn't your season. Don't extend yourself. Extend yourself. Congratulate the person who got the opportunity. Be positive and be patient. Maximize the current job you already got. and then leverage your talent to meet a need. Find out a way to make yourself relevant every day. The more valuable you are, the more you attract opportunity. That's all I got for you. I'm going to transition it back over to Frank, and we're going to talk about what you just heard, and I'll entertain any questions you got. Back over to you, Frank. You can open the call back up.
Man, that was powerful, man. Man, that was brief. That's what you call getting right to the point, man. I could have sat there and just hear you for about another hour, man. Just sit there and just listen, man. I was just sitting there just smiling and just writing. I couldn't write fast enough, man. And that's spot on right there, man. Sometimes sometimes like we hear no, and sometimes, man, we take that to heart. And you were right on about that too, Lo. You spot on when you said about it's the attitude, how you deal with that no. Sometimes, when we hear a no, we're not being rejected, we're being protected. So that's what we got. That's the way we had to take it. It's all about the attitude, man. And like I say, we're not being rejected. A lot of times we're being protected. A lot of times, like God, no, this is not for us. And if we take and receive everything that we go after, we'll miss out on so many good things that God have for us. And so we have to be able to receive those no's, man. Because like you say, man, there's nothing wrong with you. You say, okay, thank you, give a smile and go on, because what God have for you, no man can take it from you if it's for you. So that's why, in life, know what it is that you want and prepare yourself for whatever it is that you want. And then when the opportunity comes, and if you don't get it, it will come back around. So it's all about the attitude, because no one can hurt you but you. Because if God got something for you, it's for you. Because like you say, because sometimes a no don't mean no. It may mean not just yet. It don't mean you can't have that. Maybe it's just not right now. Because you're not ready. It's something else you may need to learn in order to be able to handle it. Because sometimes we can receive certain things as we're not ready for it. It can destroy us, man. And God knows that. That's why I say a lot of times the no is not to be able to hold us back. Sometimes, He's not rejecting us. He's protecting us. And we got to be able to discern that. That's why it's so important, man, to live in a state of thankfulness and gratefulness and what have you, man. And you'll be able to receive those things, man, because if we got everything that we went after, we'll be a spoiled and a ruined child. Man, we'll be messed up and could nobody stand us. So that's why he said in life, we don't compete, we don't complain, and don't compare. Don't be talking about I'm just as smart as this guy. I've been here longer than that guy. Don't go doing that. Don't compare yourself. Just accept it and move on, because it's power. Just like Lo said, it's power in those. And just like Damon John, he wrote a book on the power in being broke. Then you look at it and say, wow. What do you mean it's power in being broke? Because that means if you broke, and if you tap into your creativity, you'll be able, and you'll go out and you'll find ways, and you're hungry, you'll find ways to be able to overcome that. Because God don't give us money, He give us ideas. We'll start capitalizing on them ideas and stuff. Just like Lo was saying, it's not knowledge that what power is, the application of. We got to learn how to apply that stuff. So it's good to say no. So accept that no, man, with a grain of salt, man, and say, okay, thank you, Lord. Next, and keep moving. And if it's for you, it will come back to you. So I'm gonna let someone else come in right there, Lo, man. That was awesome, man. That was awesome. I appreciate that, man. Okay. Are there anyone that was and we definitely got to learn how to be patient, man. We destroy ourselves by not being patient, man. We destroy ourselves. With faith and patience and being positive, ain't nothing that you can't accomplish in life. With faith, believing that it will happen, and you positive and you patient, willing to wait on God's time. You be working while you're waiting. Don't just sit back and say, well, God gonna do this, and you sitting back doing nothing. You be continuing to working while waiting, but you got faith all along that it will manifest itself, and it will. If God brought you to it, He can bring you through it. And I'm a firm believer in that. Because I'm a man right now, man, been turned down a lot, man, grew up very poor with nothing. I've been running my own business now for about the last past 17 years, have no degrees in anything, and I'm not hurting from anything, so if I can do it, you can do it. So I've been told no a lot of times. I've been not on some things that I thought that I was obligated to, but that didn't stop me. I kept persevering. You got to be persevered through. You got to learn perseverance. Okay, someone else. Talk to me, somebody. Unmute yourself and talk to me. Not everybody at one time. I'm going to call some names.
And it's okay, Frank, if you know, because I know they're trying to chew on this and digest this. What I would ask you is to think about a time in your life where you were told no, and then how'd you bounce back from it? Where are you today because of that no? I'll tell you this: when I was I think I was maybe 21 or 20, I was in love with this girl,
come on
and she told me, one thing happened to another. I can't even recall, but nevertheless, she was not having it, and she said, "No, I'm not. I'm done." And that no was the best thing that happened to me, because the woman that I got today and the children that I got today, I wouldn't trade for nothing in the world. At the time, that no was crushing. I didn't process it properly. It paralyzed me. I didn't go eat for 3 or 4 weeks. I didn't even come out. I was just crushed.
I feel you.
I didn't even want to talk to nobody. But you know what? When eventually I got over it. God didn't make me struggle too long, but about a month. And then I met my wife after that today, and we've been together for 24 years and have 5 girls and 1 boy. And I tell you this, the most amazing, my most proudest thing is my wife and my children, So, no, is there power in no? Absolutely. Is there something on the other side of no that's waiting? Does no mature you? Absolutely. Does no build you up? Yes. Does it sculpt you into a truer, more creative version of yourself? That's exactly what it did. No kept me grounded. Even to this day, no keeps me grateful. No keeps me centered. No keeps me humble. Is no empowering? Absolutely. And then the other no story that I've heard from my bishop, before Bishop Bronner had a Bishop McLaughlin. He was 26 years old. He has one of the biggest churches in Jacksonville, Florida, called the Potter's House. Well, when Bishop was 26 years old, that's when I knew him. He took over our church. We had a little small church, about 100-some people. But those folks told him no at the end of his first year, like at the 11-month mark. They let him go. That was the only no he got as a young preacher, that he wouldn't be returning. And he turned around, and now he has the largest church in Jacksonville, Florida. But he would never have that large church with probably 30,000 members now if that little 100-people church didn't tell him no, he couldn't come back. He only had 2 churches in his life, the one that told him no and the one that he got today. So is no empowering? Absolutely. When he was 26, was he probably demobilized, rejected at one moment in time? Absolutely. But he figured out there's life on the other side of his no. So I want y'all to think about your no's and share a no story.
Man, that's so true. That's why it's so important, man. When you're committed to whatever it is that you're doing, you'll be able to accept those no's with no problem, man. Because knowing there's nothing wrong with you, that's the consolation, right? Knowing there's nothing wrong with you. When you commit yourself to yourself, the result will be well worth it, man. And I promise you that you'll be able to take those no's with no problem. That's the best thing that could happen, because, like I said, a lot of times you're not being rejected, you're being protected. And that's the way you have to look. It's all about the attitude, is how you receive things. Things in life, neither good nor bad. It's the thinking that makes it so. It all depends on how you receive that thing, according to how you get through that thing. And I'm going to say that one more time. Things in life, neither good nor bad. It's the thinking that makes it so. It's your perception. It's how you receive it. And that's very key. That's why I go back to this attitude. It's very key. That's good, Lo. Anyone else?
I couldn't really.
Talk to us. Was this Tiffany?
Yes.
Yeah, talk to us, Tiffany.
Hey, yeah. So I was trying to think of something. I know there's been so many times that's happened to me, but the only one that sticks out is when I was in college. I was supposed to graduate. I started in 2004, and I was supposed to be done in 2008. And due to like a high turnover rate of advisors, I was misadvised so many times that I ended up taking enough courses to have 2 degrees. And so I ended up graduating a year later than I was supposed to. And I remember being so frustrated at one point that I was literally contemplating burning down the registration building.
Girl, I can connect with you there. I can connect. Lord knows I can connect with you there.
So I remember just looking around like, Lord, why is this happening to me? Like feeling like I was the only person on campus that they were doing this to. I thought maybe they looked at me as a little black girl and who didn't know any better, and they were getting this extra money out of me. And I couldn't trust anybody. I just was frustrated. But then that extra year that I had at Georgia Southern was the best year of my whole entire college career. It was the time that I got the closest to God. I matured so quickly throughout that year. God just prepared me mentally, physically, and spiritually for the rest of my life. Like that time set a stage for everything else that happened to me afterwards. So, just that minor setback was a setup for a major comeback.
Absolutely. And that goes back to what I said. Be grateful when you get that no, because that painful rejection is often that catalyst to shape and position you for a better and more promising future that you got today. And that's what's amazing about the no. Now, do you see it at the time? Absolutely, because I was in a similar situation where I was supposed to graduate in May, and for whatever reason, they at the graduation day, parents, everybody up, drove all the way out of state to the city to graduate, and they say, no, you're missing 3 credit hours. You're not going to graduate today, And I was like, I'm still trying to process. Like my folks that drove away, how am I explaining this to them, But I had to go that summer and take a couple of more, one more class. And I ended up graduating. Now, was that, demobilizing? Was I ashamed? Was I embarrassed? Absolutely, because, it just crushed me. But most of all, it was shame. But had I not went back, I ended up, graduating that summer, got commissioned as a lieutenant. Now I'm a colonel, So had I not had that painful rejection and had to go back, get that 3 credit hours, I would have never got commissioned as an officer in the military and spent a 23-year career. Now I'm one step away from being a general. So no has its purpose in its place and its time. If you'd have asked me 23 years ago, did I see myself doing all of the things that I'm doing today? Absolutely not, man. I could have easily took on the wrong attitude and never graduated and say, I ain't coming back here. I ain't going no summer, and just walked away and just been that guy who's 3 credit hours away from ever graduating and sitting on a corner somewhere just drinking myself to death just thinking about that moment. Or I could have, sucked it up, move on, realizing, hey, what is it I need to do? What's the fix-it plan? Fix it like I did and get my commission, and my career moved on. Fast forward 23 years, here I am. So I hope I'm helping somebody tonight.
Yes, sir. You spot on, man. Good stuff.
Talk to us.
Brother Lowe, man, I was just amazed at all the stuff you were saying, man. I don't have much to say because you touched on everything. I just want to thank you because, me being in sales, I was taught that, only take a yes. I'm looking for the yes. Always get a yes. Always get a yes. But you're making me realize, even in sales, look for the no. Look for the no, because you know what? When they give you their no, they're giving you their reason. That it's not let me give up. Like, no. But let me ask you this. What is stopping you from purchasing right now? Or we just so taught to yes. Okay, I want to buy. Like, nah, you made me realize, like, let me just look a little deeper and try to get that no up out of them. So then I could get to the yes. And it just ties into what Tiff said about, when y'all was talking, I was like, yeah, when you say a no is a moment in life you can't let it determine your future. You decide. Like basically, like a no is a moment in life, but don't let that moment determine the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Like it's a defining moment, and three things are going to happen in that defining moment. You're going to either stop in your tracks and you're going to be demobilized, or you're going to press forward, or you can ask some more questions. And while you're in sales, you know what? You can keep. You first of all, don't blame yourself. Because there ain't nothing wrong with you. So that's the first thing you need to say. I'm not a bad sales guy. This guy just said no. I don't know what their bigger picture is. They could be got budget constraints. They could, what you was selling could have been a little over their budget. So maybe, you need to figure out how can I turn that no into yes by making the product more feasible to buy. I need to understand what their restrictions are. What can you do? So you can figure out how to get a better outcome. Learn whatever you can from their no. That's what I would tell you in sales, and be open to other possibilities. What other possibilities can we do? Okay, we can't do business with what I just currently pitched, but what can we do? And what did I learn from these people? No, I learned that, this company has a cap on what they can spend as it relates to this. What I learned is that they make their most money purchasing decisions in the first and second quarters, not on the third and fourth quarter. I probably approached them in the fourth quarter where their money is probably already allocated. And so I need to, approach them and figure out which quarter do they when did their quarter starts over? Most people fiscal year starts over in sales in the month of October, right? So October, November, December, that's first quarter. January, February, March, that's second quarter. So they ain't allocated all their funds yet, so they can spend money. But if I'm approaching them in the third and the fourth quarter, their money already been allocated, so they ain't got that budget like they had in that first two quarters. So you learn what you can learn about the company, and you learn about their allocation and their spending habits, and then you can do some business. Because attitudes are different, I tell you, in business financially in the first and second and third quarter. Frank's a business guy. He'll tell you he's more likely to buy what he needs in the first and second and third quarter. In the fourth quarter, he's trying to account for what's left. He ain't trying to do no spending at the end of the fourth quarter. So be thinking about that as your approach.
And that's right. One thing about it, it's good to get no. Because the more no's you get, every time you get a no, you're getting closer and closer to a yes. And so you should go out there and try to drum up every no that you can get. Every time you get a no, you pump your hand. Yes, yes, because that means you're doing something. If you ain't getting no no's, you're not doing anything. And so at least you asking. You got to open your mouth. Your money's in your mouth. If you open your mouth up and you get no's, that means you're doing something. You're on the right track. You're doing what's right and what have you. But sometimes it's greater when it's later. Like if you get it right there and then, it's not as beneficial to you sometimes. So you got to be able to understand the consequence of it, of the no's and what have you. Like I said, sometimes it's greater when it's later, because they said no now, and later on they come back. They were planning on spending, I said, about $100. They may come back later on and look you up and probably spend $1,000. If they had to spend it then, they wouldn't have benefited as near as much as they did later. So that's why I say sometimes it's greater when it's later. So don't get caught up, don't get fixated on being rejected and what have you. Because like I said, you're not being rejected in all times. Sometimes you're being protected. You have to be able to distinguish between that.
Yeah, and I used to tell my kids just selling candy from the school and cookies in the neighborhood. I say, hey, listen, we're in a military community. People get paid on the 1st and 15th. We got to know spending habits and payroll dates and times. You can't go to somebody in the middle of around the 20th because they check already been spent up. They ain't gonna get paid for another 10 days. So I tell them to understand the community around you and the spending habits of that community, and then when people get paid, You can't go to somebody's house on Monday, they get paid on Fridays, and you're more likely to get a no. But if you're more likely to get a yeah if you go on Friday, because that's more likely to pay. It's just understanding, learning more about the no. Well, why did they say no? They said no because the day Monday, they don't get paid the Friday. They said no because it ain't the 15th of the month, it's the 22nd of the month, money tight, So a lot of no's will drive you to ask more questions to understanding, am I asking the question in the right time? So just be thinking about stuff like that. No should drive questions. It shouldn't drive frustration.
And that's a fact. As you said, you have the right to choose the decision, but you don't have the right to, to choose the consequence. Like when they say no, you choose how you're going to go about asking them questions. A lot of times it's all in your asking too, man, when you like Lo was saying about asking the right question, how you go about doing it. Or you say, would you like to buy this? Or would you like to purchase this? Or whatever case may be. But you ask them and, use the word invest. Would you like to invest in it? Because, when you use the word invest, that seems more or less like a return. But if you holler, would you like to buy this right here, or would you like to spend more money on this? That's just like it's a waste, like they're throwing their money away. But if you use the word investing more, when you're trying to sell someone something, use the word investing. You may already be doing that, but you still get some no's from time to time, but that's all right. But watch the effect that it takes on the other person, and it causes you to feel better too, because it's not like you're trying to swindle the money out their pocket when you asking them, would you like to invest in this? But I think if you invest in this, other than so I think if you buy this right here, it's a huge big difference. And to Quran, it's a book out there about about Ken Blanchard. It's the art of selling. The art of selling, and that's awesome book, man. And I take it, and I'll take a picture of it, and I'll send it to you. Now I know I turned that book on to one particular guy, man. His sale skyrocket once he got that book. It's an awesome book, man. And so, I text it over to you. I don't know, did I mention that to you once before, or did I?
I can check right now, but I don't think it was the art of selling that you told me to read, but it was one pretty close in regards to I think it was In Search of Excellence. You definitely put me on the 10 times rule. That's the one I read already. That one,
that's the book as well. But this one is the art of selling. I'll send it over to you and everything, man, and you can check it out.
And so, Frank, I also tell them, I said, if there's 100 jobs out there that you can apply for, how many can you take?
Only one.
Okay. So if you push out 100 applications, you're not looking to get yeses. You're going to get about 99 no's. You only need one. Okay? But my point is, you got to put in the work. I just had one of my mentees, she put in maybe 50 or 60 applications, and she got no's to a whole lot of them, but she finally got that yes. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
That yes was where she wanted to be. That yes met her requirements. That yes, a lot of those no's didn't meet her requirements anyway. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes accepting no's is settling for something anyway. And God didn't want you to settle. So my point is, if you keep pushing out 100 clients, I don't care if you get 99 no's, you only need one yes. I don't know what kind of sales you in, but just think about houses. Let's just say you're in a market to sell $1 million houses. How many $1 million houses you need to sell in a week?
One.
Okay, so I'll take 99. You know what really taught me about the power of no is a homeless guy on the side of the street. When you pull up on him, 100 and maybe 200 or 1,000 cars pass by this guy, and everybody just no. But that one yes, he take that one yes, man. He'll take the odds of getting that yes out of the no. They can endure rejection mightily. And guess what? At the end of the day, when he get off the block and he walk back to his nice Benz after being acting like he was homeless, he done made a whole lot of money. But anyway,
that's good. So if I could just say something on that, because it was something that I missed when you said A no is a defining moment in life. Don't let that moment determine your future. You either stop, immobilize, or you ask questions. What was it stop, immobilize, or ask questions? Was that it?
No. Hold on.
Oh.
No, I said no is a defining moment. It can either serve to mobilize you, okay?
Okay, it can either
or
serve
paralyze you.
Okay.
So mobilize you meaning propel you to keep going, keep dropping applications, keep finding more clients, or paralyze you. Now you stop. You don't even want to do it no more. I quit, man. I ain't doing this. It can force you or force a retreat or redirect your steps.
Oh, okay.
So if it redirects your steps, then you're going to reapproach the situations through a series of questions. And maybe not to that particular person, because that person, again, the timing and the season might not be right for them, and you just got to accept their no, all right? And don't harass them. Just accept their no in a positive manner and say, hey, thank you, sir, because now that may be the stepping stone where you can redirect, evaluate, learn as much as about the situation, the conversation you had with the no, analyze it so you can go to the next person with that new knowledge. Okay, this guy said no, maybe my approach was wrong. So now you're redirecting your steps to the next new person. And you're learning from the previous person's no. So the previous person's no is your setup to redirect and go reapproach the next person with a different, approach. Perhaps there was something you didn't say. Perhaps you didn't approach them with the right attitude of gratitude. Perhaps, you know what I'm saying? But if you have a poor attitude after the first no, you definitely ain't going to be thinking about redirecting your steps. You definitely ain't thinking about what you learned or could have got from the situation. You feel me? Because you still ticked off about the no, so you ain't even thinking about preparing yourself for the next yes. Because we get paralyzed in the no that we fail to get on to the next step. Now you got another guy waiting for you just to come sell whatever you got to sell, but you can't even get to him because you're still paralyzed by the last no.
Right there, Lo. You spot on right there, man. When you said that, that put me in the mind of just like when you're playing sport, like playing baseball or softball, whatever. If you on third base or first base, whatever, you make an error, and then you still fixated on that error, and the next person come to the bat, and then and they hit the ball to you, they made another error. So that's what they call don't make the same error twice, because you done made and that's behind you. Now forget it and move on, because you still sitting there fixated and paralyzed by that last error, and then you can make another error. That's what they call making the same error twice. And so that was good, and I like that. That was spot on.
Yes, sir. So no should challenge your belief system instead of attack your belief system. It should challenge your belief system and challenge the salesman in you, and challenge the courage in your heart to get back out there and get that next yes. It should rouse up that hidden strength that you never knew was there, and it start maturing you and building you, and that's how you become that champion salesman. Because if you interviewed any of those $1 million salesmen, they'll tell you, man, they've had more no's than yeses.
All right, man. Let's stop right there, Lo, because it's 9 o'clock. You got 3 minutes to 9. Let's see Sharon Father on. See, he got something he wants to add to that. Something he wants to say.
Absolutely.
Man, that was good, Lo. That was spot on, man. Awesome message. Sharon, what's your name? What's his father's name, Sharon?
Father-in-law.
Father-in-law, what's your name?
Well, I call him Coach, but his name is Emery Addison.
Okay, we'll be all right if I call him Coach.
He says he's fine if he calls you Coach.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Coach. So, talk to us, Coach. Tell us what you think, man.
I thought the lesson was very, very well prepared and very, educational. Something you need. That's a sore spot for me. I personally don't have a positive positive story to tell. I've had some no's just like everybody else, but I didn't handle it. Just being transparent with everybody, I didn't handle it as well as as everybody else. So I don't know if you want me to share it.
No, absolutely. We want you to share because that helps us see the consequence of being not handling it, and how can cause you to retreat or paralyze you or cause you not to handle it properly. So they need to understand that there's another reality to this thing, and how it makes you feel, and how it can set you back, or maybe your way of bouncing back. So yeah, we'd be interested in how you handle a couple of those. They need that dose of reality.
All right. Well, I had a tryout with the Suns back in the late '80s, and I had prepared. The Phoenix Suns invited me to rookie free agent camp. I prepared mentally, physically for that opportunity, and I showed up on the day of the camp, and I was told then that they changed their mind, that they weren't going to let me try out. Wow! I walked in the facility. I had them prepared for over a month. They're using their facility as well, scrimmaging, talking. At the time, Larry Nance was the captain of the Phoenix Suns before they made the trade him to Cleveland, and he gave me all indication that he picked me every day to play on the basketball team. Matter of fact, one of the beat writers for the Phoenix Suns at the time, the Arizona Republic, did a story on me right before the camp, just watching us doing unconditional workout. Steve Kerr, who's now the head coach for the Golden State Warriors, he and I was working out a lot, playing a lot of one-on-one, and the beat writer actually came there to do a story on Steve Kerr and ended up doing a story on me. And and I showed up that day, camp, ready, excited, knew there wasn't no guarantees, but just grateful for the opportunity. And when I showed up that morning, at that particular time, John McLeod was the head coach and Al Bianchi was the assistant coach. And when I walked in the facility, they said, hey, listen, we've changed our mind. We're not going to let you participate. And I said, sir, if you knew the physical and mental preparation I've gone through to get ready for this opportunity, you at least let me get out there. And you may have already made up your mind that you don't want me on the team or not, but at least let me get out there and try out. And he told me no. And then Al Bianchi, the assistant coach, stepped in and used some profanity, and they threatened, they called the security on me and everything. I walked out on my own, they were going to remove me. And so I walked out of there, like you said, rejected, hurt, just thing. And I became angry, even bitter towards God, because I felt like I can only get an opportunity like that because of God. He opened that door.
Yes.
And my pastor at the time tried to explain to me. He told me, he said, you remember when Abraham wanted that son, and he was that promise he was going to have a son, and God delivered 25 years later, and then he told him to offer that son back. He said, sometimes God will just test you to see if you're serving him for what he can do or because of who he is. And he says, just maybe God just knew that was going to separate you from the relationship. I had a hard. I listened to my pastor at the time, Bishop Greg Newman. I said, sir, I just have a hard time swallowing that. I said, God entrusted the Holy Spirit in me. There's nothing more valuable than the Holy Spirit, and he can't trust me with a job. I said, I just have a hard time swallowing that.
Jesus.
And so, I tried to move on, and I have moved on, but it's always been a sore spot. Just wondering what lesson was I supposed to learn from that? Because I still don't know to this day. Tiffany was a little little baby there. She was our baby at that time, and I to this day, you know, maybe there is no lesson like Job. Job went through what he went through. I'm not trying to compare myself to Job, but God never told him, you know, about the conversation he had with Satan, you know, about the test and anything like that. Job did learn to trust God no matter what. And I, you know, like I said, I became angry, a root of bitterness, actually. But, you know, I wish I knew what was the lesson from that. But, you know, 'cause I'll never know.
Well, if you're not opposed, I would like to share with you what the Spirit is showing me.
Yeah, I'm saying
Okay.
here.
First of all, would you? I'm gonna ask you a question. If you could fast forward life to that moment, and you got the tryout, you made the team, and then one thing led to another. As a player, and some unfortunate incident happened that cost you your life, would you still be angry knowing what you know today if you had foresight that God was protecting you from you?
Well said. We're on the same page.
And my point is that you said you want to know why. Because he loves us. He loves us enough to protect us from ourselves. I also had aspirations of being in the NFL and question God. And this is what he revealed to me. He says, Hodges, some people are not mature enough to handle the environment. The environment would have taken you out. I had purpose for you that was going to outlast a short career or stint in the NFL, because that's all. At the time where I just wasn't mature enough to handle that type of success personally, and I knew that. You know, I knew that I would have just been another young knucklehead, doing it big, and might have, did it so big that it cost me my life. Well, I'd rather take the long life that I got now with less fame and fortune and experience the family that I have today than take the risk on what could have been. Now, I don't know if you can draw anything from that, but that's just what the Spirit has led me to share with you.
All right.
Yeah,
Back to you.
I'm pretty much on the same line, though, because like I said, you can fast forward, because like I said earlier, sometimes we think we're being rejected, but in actuality, we're being protected, even though you don't see it now. Because like I said, like if, and sometimes we get in our way, we get in the way of God. Maybe that's not our that's what we want to do, and that's not what God wants us to do. And He trying to get us to where He wants us, and then who knows? You could have came back at a certain point, and how we deal with the things according to how we get through a thing. Because by you reacting at that particular time, how you wouldn't accept that, you pitched a hissy, or shall I say, and that could have really been damaging to you. You didn't handle it right, because like Lo was saying, that right there could have been protecting you. That could have stopped you from going back into that at some other point. Because if you had got on with attitude, I'm not saying you have an attitude, this and that, but because we want what we want sometimes other than what God wants for us. Then once you accept that no, real gracefully, okay, God, let your will be done in my life, and went on. And they probably would have called you back a week from now or 2 weeks from now once they sat down and negotiate. We don't know. We'll never know. Only thing we can do is sit here and just get. Sometimes we get in the way of God when we start trying to handle it on ourselves. God said, be still, and realize I am God, and I will fight your battle. When we start doing things on our own, that's just like telling God, I don't need you. I handled it myself. I don't need you, God. If I need you, I'll call on you. But right now, this is my battle. But, we get in our way and we get in God's way a lot of time,
And Frank, perhaps, it might not have been him with the issue. It could have been a teammate on that team at that season in his life that could have just been a very bad influence. So we never know the characters that are in play, but whatever it was so dangerous in God's eyes that he said, no, I'm not putting him in that situation. I got a different path for him. And I know he's not going to understand it, and I know he's going to be angered, but you know what? My purpose for him is greater than his anger for me. And we have to process that and say, man, whatever my purpose is today, it has been greater than whatever my frustration with God has been, because I'm still here, and I would venture to say some folks on that team ain't here. I would actually, I'd be curious if you look and research that team at this season, at that time in your life, who's still alive on that team, or any tragedy or any tragic thing happened to any members, who's still alive from that team. That would be a very interesting research that I would be curious to know.
I did the research on that. They had a tragedy that year. The Suns was hit with a drug scandal.
My God.
That same year. Yeah, they lost a player, Johnny High. Some people say it was an accident, but some people think he purposely killed himself because he knew too much. But the Suns were hit with a drug scandal that year.
My God. And man, I just tell you, God just don't make no mistakes. Look at that. Just look at that. Now, go back to fast forwarding again. Like I said, you probably far from that type of life. You probably ain't about that life. But when we get on these teams, man, it pulls us in. It pulls us in. I got a teammate, Clayton Holmes. I want you to Google his name. Dallas Cowboy, still holds the record, clocked as the fastest Cowboy. Got drafted. Wasn't mature enough to handle $1 million cornerback. All he had to do, never took a drug in his life till he got to Dallas. And remember when Dallas got on the big drug scandal back then? Yeah. You know what? Big lineman and Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, all had him out there. And all he was trying to do was fit in. This guy, he never tried to fit in. He was very mature in college. But you could be mature in college, but when you get on that level, it's a whole nother world. It's just like you being a new birth, and you're trying to prove yourself all over again. And in his effort to try to fit in with them, it cost him his career, almost cost him his life. He ended up getting banned from the NFL within the first 2 years over drug charge. And he didn't even do drugs. He just trying to fit in. And they made him feel like he was nobody. They told him, hey, man, he had $1 million house. You know what they told him? He asked him, guys, y'all, this is his teammates. He said, guys, I'm just trying to tell you the level of influence. He said, guys, and he talking to Emmett. I lost respect for Emmett and Michael Irvin when he told me this. He said he asked them if they wanted to come over his house and chill. And this cat got $1 million house. They told him, nigga, you live in the ghetto. We ain't coming over there. So even with $1 million, they made him feel like nobody. And so when he would do the lines, because they told him, hey, you're going to hang with us, you got to show us you can do these lines. He did lines just try to fit in, and now he got hooked because his body wasn't used to that type of stuff. Now they sitting back laughing at him while he hooked on drugs. But God gave him a second chance, and he still blew it. But so I say all that to say is, I thank God that I am where I am today, and I accept the plan that he gave me. It doesn't take away from my dream of wanting to be in the league or play, but you know what? I realize he has a bigger picture, and and it represents my best interest. And I'm old enough to kind of embrace that now. At the time, I wasn't trying to hear that, but eventually I got the memo. But thank you for sharing that, man. That was just amazing.
I'd like to say something if I could.
Sure.
And I wasn't planning on saying anything tonight, but found the conversation so interesting because I have a son. My youngest son was asked to play pro football his junior year of college. He went to school on a football scholarship, and the guy that scouted him did some work part-time for the Chicago Bears, and he watched my son play football in high school, and he recruited him to go to Luther College in Decorah, Iowa. And my son went, the guy left and went to another college before my son got there, and he tried to get my son to come, but he didn't. But make a long story short, junior year, my son said, absolutely not. And so I said, well, why not? And he said, Mom, you don't understand. Don't understand what? And he said, Mom, one hit, it's all over. It can be all over for you. He said, you know, I want my degree because that's something nobody can ever take away from me. So I said, okay. Well, then senior year came. I mean, he became the star football player at that college. #1 articles written up on him at home and at school. But he was really humble about it. I mean, we were at school visiting. He'd walk down the hallway, and white kids would be like, oh, my God, there's water on the floor. They'd mop it up because they said they couldn't afford for him to fall. And I'm like, are they talking about you? But make a long story short, senior year, he turned it down, too. So I'm like, what are you doing? You know, you played for $35,000 a year. Now you don't want to pay for millions. He said, Mom, I don't want that. He said, you know, I had some experiences here. Decorah, Iowa was a predominantly white city. When we came to the school, there were only 15 black kids. He had called nigger by kids on his own team. I remember his first year calling me crying, you know, because he, some parents on another team from the opposite team, he was very instrumental in the team winning games against schools they had never won before. And it hurt his feelings a lot. I mean, I really had to help him get over that. You know, boy, you going to the bank. What are you talking about? But he had walked over to just, you know, commend him, and they talked about him and stuff. But he stayed on, you know, got over, he graduated, but he wouldn't play pro football. He turned it down, and he said he didn't want, he said, you don't understand, they follow you everywhere you go. You know, this comes with that and that comes with that. And so, to be honest with you, I was pretty upset about it. I mean, I had to accept his decision. He said, Mom, I have done everything you ever asked me to do. I don't want to do this, you know. So he did go on to become a real estate entrepreneur. A couple of years ago, he was voted as one of the top 25 up-and-coming African-American leaders in the U.S. to keep your eye on. He started a nonprofit organization for young black kids, teaching them against drugs and alcohol. He teaches them the importance of college and things like that. But he honestly he just like, I don't want that. I'm not interested. And he would not play. Never. They even asked him a couple of years after he left, and he doesn't seem to have any regret about it at all either. Like, I'm happy, you know, doing what I do. So the conversation helped me a lot, you know, because sometimes I still think about it, you know. Yeah, so that's what I had to say.
Yeah, well, that is, well, I'm glad that you could, you know, because that's what this call is for all of us. We don't know how these messages will, and other people's testimonies and stories will hit touch points and trigger us and answer some questions that we never had. God is that type of God where you know, things that we think went unanswered, God will use the most unthought of thing to answer you. You know, he's not predictable at all. He will use the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, even stuff like a call like this to answer some unanswered questions. But that's good. I mean, I can definitely connect with that. You know, as a football player, by the time I got a senior, man, it was such a business that I just really, it just turned me off. You know, I was just really, at the end of the day, playing to pay for school because it just got so political, you know, and something that I love turned into a job. You know, and when something you love turned into work, you know, and it's not fun anymore, you know, it's time to reconsider those things. But I'm just glad that we got this call now where we can put this information out to young people, because there wasn't nobody to talk to for me to talk to at my time, and I'm sure your father was nobody for him to really talk to about that pain and that turmoil, because it's a lot of shame, it's a lot of humility. Your family build you up, everybody say this stuff, and they don't even realize you ain't made the team yet, and your family already having parades, and now you got to sit and try to navigate not only through all of that, but you're dealing with the rejection, the humility, and you don't have no control over your family who are really proud of you, but they're really going ahead, putting the cart before the horse with the celebrations and stuff, and it makes your pain even deeper, So I definitely feel you there, brother, and it sounds like you figured out how to bounce back. You still got that pain in there, but at least you moved on with your life. You have beautiful kids, and I'm not sure what you're doing today or how you spend your time, but it sounds like you're doing well for yourself. And I'll definitely keep you lifted up in prayer, because those things never go away if we don't get answers.
That's powerful, guys. I'm going to say this, then we got to get ready to get out, because I want guys to come back. It's almost 20 minutes after 10. And it's amazing this conversation will end up like that, because I was just talking to someone the other day, and I was talking about, about our mind, how important it is to prepare our mind for whatever. I said, like you would take professional athlete, they would devote endless hours to prepare for competition. But when it comes to preparing their mind, to develop themselves and educate and knowledge themselves, they won't spend 2 hours doing that. But they will spend hours, preparing themselves for competition to play football or do whatever, basketball, whatever case may be. But when it comes to their mind, they won't spend a whole lot of time doing that, because they won't pick up no book, they won't read, they do everything except what they're going to really cause them to really move forward. Because and that's why we got to, we spend that time searching for our purpose. If we find our purpose in life, we'll be happy. That's the reason so many of us is discontent in life, because we're not operating in our purpose, why God put us here. God put us here on this earth to do a certain thing, and it's our job to find out what that purpose is. It's there. It's on the inside of you. If you ever find out what it is, God will help you. We won't go through a lot of stuff. That's why we go through a lot, because we're out of position. We're not in the spot where God put us. And what have you. And so we bring a lot of it on ourselves, because I know me, myself, I was like that for years, man. Like working, making the money, making good money. But if you like say, my pocket had hole in it. I couldn't seem to get ahead to save my life, because I was trying to do it myself. If you're not doing what God wants you to do, He's not going to be in it. And so you're going to struggle pretty much 9 times out of 10, because you're trying to do it on your own. So it pays to find out why you was here. Why were you put here? So we spend no hours. We take those hours that we spend preparing, condition ourselves for competition in a sport game, and we put that into our mind, we'll be surprised how far we would go. We all have been there, because I know I tried playing football like in the 8th grade, and I wasn't spending near as much time in those books preparing my mind like I was trying to prepare my body, for certain competitions or what have you. So we're going to stop on that note right there, guys, and come back tomorrow night, guys. Tomorrow night, we on the same station at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night. And so you get a chance, guys, so come back tomorrow night and get some more of this right here. All right? All right, Lois, back in your hand, man. You can give us the last words, and you can close us out in prayer.
All right. Hey, listen, guys, again, thank you for coming out tonight. Time has been well spent, well invested. Gerard, kudos for you for inviting your father-in-law to the call. Tiffany, thanks as always for being a contributor. You're always a person of tremendous value. And just remember, guys, the path, the secret to this life is being thankful and being content with whatever the circumstances. That's Paul's word for us. That's how we're going to win at the end of the day. We have to have that spirit of Paul. He says, I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances, and I'll leave you with that. So that means embrace your no. Grass is always green on the other side of the fence, but it still got to be mowed.
Amen. I like that, Lo. That's fine.
Father, we thank you for everybody under the sound of my voice on this call. We thank you for the testimonies and the transparency that was shared. We give you the glory for that. And you know how to handle your situations with those you love. And I pray, Lord, that you speak to Sharon's father-in-law tonight. Give him some closure about that time period in his life, and to remind him of the great things that you've done since then, and that you love him and you was only trying to protect him. Lord, we thank you for Frank and being able to facilitate such a call where lives can be transformed, questions can be answered. We thank you for Tiffany and Sharon for their participation. We thank you for the other young gentleman that was on the call tonight for his participation in the sacrifice. And Lord, we just ask that they get the word out about this call to other people so that more people can hear from you through us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Good night, guys. Love you all.
Amen. Thank y'all. Good night.
Good night.